Mr. Mayor, fellow trustees, Brian, Patty, fellow residents, I'll be brief. First, a little comment about the new Patchogue. New village, 291 apartments, 20% are leased. Approximately 60 are leased. They're very happy over there. The uptake in leases is somewhat above expectations so far. So they'll start occupancy on the beginning of April, and they expect to be finished by September. Now, I've been asked about the taxes that we'll get. I can't make the number up. The assessor has to provide it to us, and as soon as we get it,
Yeah, they should have that for you.
well, the assessor commented they just don't have it yet. So.
Yeah.
On Riverwalk, the entire east side of Road Boulevard is developed. All units are sold except 8, and there's only one school-age child in the entire development. I'm sorry, Claire Rose Boulevard. They're at the district attorney's office or something like that. They're at the government level for
the Attorney General's office.
Attorney General's office,
Right.
for the offering for the other side. So our new real estate stuff is going great. Now,
How many units are on this side?
I don't know, Paul. I should know.
Probably about 70.
I think it's,
Well, there's 161 in the whole thing, but clearly
I think there's 40 on this side.
the west side is much bigger.
Yeah, I think there are 40 on this side. And if you take the tax revenue from the others, it's about 1,500. So if you're looking at 40, you're looking at about $60,000 worth of village money.
Current income.
Current income will be coming off of that side starting next year.
So both of those developments are, to say the least, very successful. Now, a comment about Old Patchogue. We never mention residences that are problematic up here. None of us do, because it's prejudicial. If we make a public statement about a house on West Avenue, that's problematic. That's across the street from me or something like that. That can come back to bite us. But be assured that lots of people are diligently chasing down these problematic properties. And I'm very pleased to request a public hearing on one of them, finally. I'm requesting a public hearing to review the, well, I'm not sure how to phrase this, unsafe and hazardous building at 203 West Avenue in Patchogue. That's a building that burned last September. There's a Mercedes-Benz station wagon sitting in the front yard.
Yeah.
It was occupied by squatters. And the village, I gotta say, thanks to Brian, we're very aggressively going after this property. By the way, it's a bankrupt property, but the bank doesn't want to do anything about it. So we have some powers. I'm not saying we're going to do this because we have to have a public hearing to make it so, but we can condemn it and we can demolish it on our own.
Then charge the bank.
And charge the bank for it. So we're pursuing that path. When should we have a hearing? 28th. April 28th. Okay, sorry.
Would that be done just on the opinion of Mr. Savage, or do we need an independent assessment of that property from?
Chief Building Inspector's opinion.
And that was decided?
It's his certification that it fits the definition of an unsafe structure, which is set forth in the definition of chapter 162. And he's already made that initial conclusion in a report, which will be distributed to the board ahead of time. He's got to serve a notice and a certain due process requirements that are set forth in the chapter, both to the interested party, the owner, who is absent, and the interested party, who is the bank, who obviously has some value in this house. They're invited to come before the board to present or refute the case as to whether it fits under an unsafe structure, and the board can make the determination as to what's going to happen next. Certainly getting their attention and attending would be excellent, but being the bank's track records and our history in the village, and all villages throughout New York State, I should say, or all municipalities throughout New York State, the banks are not exactly the best neighbors. So it would be unusual if they responded, but we're hopeful that they'll respond to our building department and try to remedy what's going on with this house now, as opposed to letting it just deteriorate to the state that it's in now and forcing us to have to knock it down.
Didn't you clarify the type of public hearing? This isn't a hearing where the public speaks.
Correct, there was no
So
testimony
just
from the
talk
public.
about what
It's
is involved.
It's a hearing to the extent that the property owner, who has a vested interest right,
They give them notice.
can respond, correct. They get notice and can respond to our allegations that the property is unsafe. It's not like a local law.
It's more of a general hearing than a public hearing.
Correct.
It's one of those hearings that's done in public, for public consumption, but the public can't react to it.
Correct.
The
More
owner-
along the lines of a court case.
Exactly.
By the way, it was a terrible fire. The siding on the building next door to it looked like bacon. It was completely melted. So I have no doubt that there's not a whole lot left of that building. Anyway, I guess that's a motion.
Yeah, it's a motion, no, for the public hearing on
April,
April what?
28.
Right.
April 20th. For the purpose of declaring, what the address is,
203 West Avenue.
403 West Avenue, it's unsafe structure. Motion, trustee Ferb, second.
Second.
Trustee Devlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And I want you to know that there's a whole bunch of other establishments in the village, residences that are being very aggressively pursued. We're in court with a bunch of people. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm very impatient. I mean, I'm really tired of looking at some of this stuff. And I'm sure many of you are as well, but we can't make it go any faster. It's the law to protect us residents first, and for the village to prevail is very challenging. That's all I have.
You want to talk about possibly setting up a,
Oh, yes. Since Mr. Keys had such a successful response to his pothole,
Patchogue Village?
Patchogue Village pothole, I'm gonna ask that we set up a housing email. It seems to have been a very good vehicle, and I hope the media carries this, Newsday. That, what we'll call it housing, Patchogue housing dot org.
Housing at Patchogue Village, so that's.
Yeah, and anybody who has anything to say, good or bad, just send us an email. We'll look at it frequently.